We took the corridor leading from the left-hand side to the terrace, eventually arriving at an intersection with some stairs. The path to the right-hand side down the stairs continued. Okay, so we're going to go onward into the piano room. We continued onward past the stairs to the side passage and emerged in the main corridor. We found ourselves in front of some old ornate double doors. Go inside. Piano room. Kid gently pushed the heavy doors open and peeked inside. Doesn't look like anyone's here. It seemed to be the main hall of the manor. Everyone ignore that branding till I get paid for it. Ugh. There we go. There was a massive table, beautiful decorations on the walls, thick columns decorated with sculptures of birds and beasts. Fixed to the wall, in the back, towered a tremendous pipe organ with a burnished black mountain. Dozens of candles. Hold on. I'm gonna wash my hands because apparently I had energy drink all over the lid of that. There we go. Oh, sorry, everybody. Dozens of candles provided a dim, flickering light, sending the corners of the room dancing in and out of shadows. Several enormous portraits glowered down from high walls. Were these members of Lynx's family? I mean, I doubt it, given that we're technically a member of Lynx's family. And we don't know these people. Sorry, still cleaning my hands. This hand sanitizer, you gotta like really work it into the skin. Okay. I was busy staring at the paintings depicting a young husband and wife when I realized their eyes turned to look right at me. Okay, they hadn't. Don't worry, this isn't about to turn into some dumb ghost story. Love how it gets meta. It just looked that way because of the way the flickering lights of the candles reflected against the glossy oil paints. Obviously. Probably. This place gives me the creeps. Get a load of those ugly mugs. There's nothing for us here. Let's look elsewhere. Neither Miguel nor I had any objections. We left the hall and returned to the corridor. Eventually, it led us to an intersection. There were some stairs going down, and to the right, a dark side passage. If we kept going straight, we'd arrive back at the terrace. Side passage. We headed down the side passage. At the end of it, we came to an old, immaculately polished door. Works for me. Kid gently pushed the door ajar and peeked into the room. The next thing I knew, she slipped inside. Miguel and I followed. I'm going to save it here. Looks like a study. The room was lit by the moonlight coming through the long, slender windows, slanting down in a pale beams through the darkness. Come on. I still can't get over the fact this is the Grinch stealth music. It was pretty big for a study with an immaculate antique desk dominating the center. I can't get over it. It's just going to bother me forever. There were rows of bookshelves lined with thick, dusty old tomes. And by the way, the reason it bothers me so much is both of these games, according to the copyright, came out at the same time. The wall to the rear of the room was decorated with paintings and shelves of vases. Painted plates stood before it. It seemed to be curios from foreign lands. Check the bookshelves. I walked over to a bookshelf and examined the spine of neatly arranged volumes. The titles I could make out consisted of ancient-seeming words that I had no way of interpreting. Most of the books seemed to be written in exotic foreign scripts. I pulled out the closest one, holding the weighty tome with both hands. I opened it. Not looking for anything in particular. Strange symbols, the likes of which I'd never seen before, crawled and danced across the pages as if they were alive. What was this? I squinted, looked sideways, tried bringing the page closer to my face, but I couldn't seem to make the words sit still long enough to make them out. That sounds like how I've heard people with dyslexia describe trying to read. I turned to another page on the off chance there'd be something useful, but all I found was a chaotic dance of the same old symbols. Just looking at them made my head hurt. Hey, what do you think this is? Huh? Kid came over to my side and peered at the book. That right there is what happens when you put a cipher spell on something. Ain't gonna make out a bloody word with that in place. Too bad, eh? Kid looked up and flashed me with an almost conciliatory grin. You probably don't want to know what's in there anyhow. These all look like pretty nasty spell books to me. Wouldn't be surprised if a whole lot of them are cursed. Which means you probably want to be careful. Never know what might come flying out. The moment the words came to her mouth, I heard dark whispers that sounded like a distant screech coming from inside the one I was holding. I slammed it shut and shoved it back into its place on the shelf. Miguel, meanwhile, was looking thoughtfully at another bookshelf. He reached out for a leather-bound tome. Could this be? What you found, Mag? Anything familiar? Kid looked over, her curiosity piqued. An ancient grimoire known as the Book of the Dead. Tell me it's covered in skin. Tell me it's a reference to Evil Dead. Who would have thought I would encounter it here? He stared intently at the decaying cover. I don't think you want to be reading that. I had a bad feeling about the book as soon as I saw it. I don't think you want to be reading that. The Book of the Dead sounds like the last thing we should be messing with right now. True, he wants to focus on getting this treasure, so. His eyes lingered on the cover for a moment before he gave me one of his silent nods and put it back on the bookshelf. Perhaps this ancient knowledge is best left to rest in obscurity. After all, the sages often spoke of leaving that which has been lost to remain so. Huh. Struth, Mac. You don't half talk like an old fart with a stick up his butt sometimes. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. It wasn't a loud knock, but in the bottomless silence of the night, it might as well have been a thunderclap. Kid and I stood bolt upright and turned around. Mag, meanwhile, hid in the shadows, drifting away like smoke. Panicked, I whispered to Kid, hide behind the door in the shadows. Quick, get behind the door. We kept our bodies low as we silently and swiftly made our way to the back of the door, where the shadows would keep us hidden. We pressed our backs to the wall and did our best to still our breathing. Slowly the door opened. Flickering candlelight spread from the doorway with a warm glow. I held my breath. But it seemed like whoever it was didn't mean to come in. They simply stood there. Strange. I thought I heard something. But the lord of the manor is away, of course. Why would there be anyone in here? I have to get over my nerves. Everything was fine until we heard news that Poor was on the move. The figure closed the door, plunging the room back into darkness. The voice trailed off to a whisper. We remained motionless, keeping our ears pricked for any sign of unwelcome return. All we heard were footsteps moving away. So Poor has made its move. Miguel emerged from the shadows, contemplating the news we'd overheard. Kid, if the rumors are true, we might well be about to find ourselves in a very difficult situation. This seemed to be her thinking, too. Poor was a powerful nation that ruled the southern continent. I'd heard it was a prosperous land whose recent and sudden developments had pushed it far ahead of its neighbors, which made me wonder, what would its inhabitants want here, out in the sticks? Could they be after the frozen flame too? Could they? As valuable as it might be, a jewel was just a jewel in the grand scheme of things. I couldn't imagine being an item of national interest. I mean, ultimately, it was just a pretty rock, right? Huh. Let them do what they want. If anyone's busy playing soldier, they won't be bothering us. Come on. We've got things to do. She headed for the door. We left the room and made our way back down the side passage. Good place to save it. Because then I can just pick up. We made our way back down the dark side passage leading from the study. Eventually, we arrived at the intersection. The stairs that led downwards, the corridor branching left and right, with the right branch leading back towards the terrace. We go down the stairs. We slowly crept down the staircase, descending deeper into the blackness as we went. At the bottom, the path split. The way to the left continued to the atrium that resembled a sort of plaza, while the path to the right was a winding passageway that trailed off into the darkness. Passageway to the right. We don't want to go into the atrium yet. We went down the stairs to the passageway on our right. Eventually, we came across an ornate door on the right-hand side. Something smelled fresh and pleasant. Flowers? Was it perhaps coming from inside? Went inside. This time, I think instead of the music box, we look at the drawers. We find ourselves in a tidy, welcoming room. The knickknacks and curios dotted around the place seemed to be well loved. The stately desk and the cozy-looking bed nearby, meanwhile, suggested the room's occupants was no stranger to luxury. Though the room was richly furnished, somehow it felt awfully lonely. Kid took a quick look around before commenting. It's Lynx's gal's room. Water just straight up spilled all over me. A half-written letter on the desk and a teacup, still warm, suggested that the lady of the manor was still nearby. But it didn't seem that anyone was here now. We decided to search the room. Miguel unsettling me. Some charming flowers, a discarded cotton handkerchief, a small bottle of perfume. Nothing that meant much to me, nor anything that seemed particularly valuable. Kid seemed to have the same impression, and scanned the room clearly, not expecting to find anything. The only item of note was a small antique box, which bore the crest resembling a viper. I decided to look next. Okay, we looked at the little box last time, and we just ran out of the room abruptly, so let's look in the drawers. I slid open one of the finely veneered drawers. Frills, lace, sequences greeted me with red, pinks, yellows, and a host of other vivid colors. A bounty of beautiful silk garments overflowed from within. Dresses, eh? Give us a look. I'd just been about to close the drawer again when Kid came up and started peering over my shoulder. She reached out a hand to touch one of them, though I sensed a certain hesitation. I've never worn anything this posh in me life. The gown she'd pick up was cut simply, but beautifully, and was decorated with pale floral patterns on a white background. She held it to her chest and took a gentle twirl around the room. She was light on her feet as a woodland nymph. The fabric fluttered like flower petals. She almost had held the hem, just so. In that brief moment, you could almost have called her dainty. Oh, stupid thing. Not me exactly, eh? I like that they froze there. I wouldn't say that. I think it really suits you. Oh, such a gob, Kisasa. Her face turned an angry red. Come on, we ain't got all night. The spell well and truly broken, she stomped out of the room. At least we had that nice little cute moment. The passage outside the room continued on our left and to our right. The path to the right led deeper into the manor, meanwhile the left went to the atrium. We're gonna go to the right, towards Lynx's room. We went down the dark passageway, eventually finding ourselves in a sturdy-looking, immaculately polished door. Kid sniffed the air, just as I thought. Something stinks here. I reckon we found the beast's lairs, lad. In the darkness, Kid's lips twisted into a grin that turned my blood cold. Inside we go. Kid opened the door and slipped inside. Okay. It was Lynx's room, but he didn't seem to be around. The bug is gone and scampered because he heard I was coming. I doubt that very deeply, but okay. There was something deeply unpleasant about the room. There wasn't anything unusual about the furniture and the fittings. Not how they looked or how they were made, but as a whole, they just felt discordant. Well, I mean, yeah, you have a picture or a statue of Venice in a place that doesn't believe in Venice. Or I should just say Aphrodite. I'm gonna turn that down. This is mostly a game of me dealing with the audio. Was that a reflection of Link? A seemingly ordinary facade that hid disturbing truth only some could see? Right. I bet we'll find the key to the vault in here, or a clue to where to find it. I started searching the room. Desk drawers, the paintings on the wall, the vase on top of the side table. I left no stone unturned. There didn't seem to be anything suspicious. But as I scanned the room, something unusual caught my eye. There was a pedestal in one corner with a significant-looking scarlet cloth drawn over it. I slowly raised my hand towards it. I carefully pulled the cloth away, revealing a mirror. It was old-fashioned and of an elaborately decorated style. Not Venus. Oy. I'd seen it before, and in it was a reflection of the statue of Venus. Suddenly, the eyes of the statue shone with light. Hello. What is your desire? Eek. Talking mirrors. Great. The mirrors, it's speaking. Kid and Miguel ran to my side. There's no need to panic. It's a whispering mirror, nothing more, said Miguel flatly. What's one of those? A magical mirror in which a spirit dwells. The spirit can freely move between its own and other mirrors, and will share its wisdom with those who ask. Interesting. What should I ask it? Where Linkus is, Kid's measurements, or key to the vault? Do you know where the key to the vault is? The mirror's reflection rippled and changed to reveal a room with numerous bookshelves. A deep, sonorous voice spoke. You will find the key in the place I have revealed. The study. It is inside a book with a purple cover in the furthest bookshelf from the door. The image of the study vanished from the mirror, and the voice went silent. It appears the spirit has left to another mirror, commented Miguel. To the study, then. As I made to leave the room, a low voice rumbled through the air, stopping me dead in my tracks. Beware. He knows. Was it the voice of a mirror again? What did it mean? Hurry up, or we're leaving you behind, Sedge, called Kid from the outside. Flustered, I rushed after her. Okay, well, we're making good progress. The corridor stretched out from beyond the door. We're going to take a moment to save again. We retraced our steps. Kid stopped in her tracks, her senses clearly tingling. Miguel and I were right behind her. Immediately realized that something was very wrong. We could hear faint whispering as if a spell were being cast. A faint light emanating from a monster sitting crouched on the flagstones ahead. Oh, it's a demon. A long, bony figure traced strange shapes on the tiles. A demon. I pulled off my knife and ready to confront it. Went for it with the knife. I made a dash to the one side, lifting my dagger as I went. I tore through the creature's paper-thin skin, but it was only a flesh wound. Bloody things laughing at us. And it was, too, chuckling maniacally in a way that made me deeply uneasy. I raised my knife again, preparing myself for the worst. My eyes met the demons, and it was then that I saw it. There was a twinkle behind them. I couldn't tear my gaze away. Its chuckle grew into a bellied laugh as it peered into the very depths of my soul. And then just like that, it muttered a few words and melted into the shadows. Where seconds before it had towered over us, now not a trace of it remained. What was that about? Why would it just disappear mid-fight? Guess it had some other place to be. Kid gave a shrug, doing her best to at least feign indifference. But I couldn't shake the sense of unease that filled me, and peered easily into the darkness with which the veil of the creature had disappeared. That doesn't feel great to me. Phew, I had taken a few knocks, but I was all right. A scrape or two wouldn't stop me. Maybe he ain't such a drongo after all. Just goes to show any old weirdo can make something of themselves if they put the minds to it. Kid's eyes glinted with mischief. Eventually, we came across an ornate door on the left-hand side. It was Riddell's room, Lynx's daughter. Let's go back inside. Can we do anything different? What is going on with my phone? We find ourselves in a tidy, welcoming room. Okay, nothing of value. The knickknacks and curios dotted all over the place seem well loved. The stately desk in the cozy room, the cozy-looking bed nearby, meanwhile, suggested the room's occupant was no stranger to luxury. Though the room was richly furnished, it somehow felt awfully lonely. A half-written letter on the desk and a teacup so warm suggested the lady of the manor was still near. A window was slightly ajar, bringing in some much-needed fresh air, suggesting somebody else had been here. It seemed that someone else had been here only moments ago. Let's come back later. We left Riddell's room for now. That's fine. The passageway outside the room continued on our left and to the right. The right would take us to Lynx's room. Meanwhile, the left would take us to the atrium and the branch. So let's go towards the atrium. Leading the group as usual, Kid suddenly stopped. What's that? She jabbed her finger at something in the darkness. Straining my eyes, I could see a pale bundle of light. Hey, we're good. Skeleton! Alright, unbelievable speed. Brace myself for the white figure. Blah, blah, blah. Skeleton! Now I can tackle it again. Yeah, see, I like these, easy fights. Tackle! I charged in and tackled the skeleton. Crumpled into bones. Body was split in two. Better luck next time. Yada, yada, yada. Pulled the skull, chucked it at me. What's it gonna do? Catch it. And slam it into the floor. Thank you! And it died. Instantaneously. Time to move on. Wait a second, what's that? There's a leather bag on the ground, containing a sparkling gem. Now that's what we're talking. Kid's face lit up with joy. Nice find, Sedge. What a beaut. Kid snatched it away, leaving me to settle for the compliment. Phew, I had taken a few knocks, but I was alright. Not bad, Sedge. Not bad at all. Didn't know you had it in ya. There was a mischievous glint in Kid's eye as she rewarded me with a few rare words of praise. Hey, I am earning her reputation higher. Okay, on the left is the corridor leading to the stairs. Atrium. To the left is the passage to the stairs looking upwards. Wait. Oh, okay. Left to the atrium. I see. Okay, so left back up the stairs to the atrium or turn back. We're going to go back up the stairs. Passageway was short. The kid leading the way, we climbed the narrow staircase. At the top, we found another intersection. Taking the corridor to the right would leave us to a dead end with a large door. To the left would lead to the terrace, and a narrow side passage in front of us was open. I again appreciate that they bothered to put that it's to the study. Towards the study. We headed down the side passage. At the end of it, came to an old, immaculately polished door. It was the study. We go inside. Purple door, or purple cover in the back. Right, let's find this key. Light on her feet, as always, Kid moved into the center of the room. What'd the mayor say it was again, Sedge? She's asking me. How was I supposed to remember? And I'm going to take a second to take a sip of water before we just jump in. Purple cover, bookcase furthest from the door. I think it was supposed to be in the one with the purple cover in the furthest bookcase. Alright, let's see. Seeming to take my word for it, Kid made for the case in question. Right, this one, purple cover, purple cover. Ah, this has got to be it. Kid pulled out a book from the bottom shelf. Miguel and I watched as she opened it. The pages were hollowed out. Hidden inside was an old key decorated with strange symbols. Nailed it. Nice one, Sedge. Kid snatched the key from inside the book. Right, time to finally get a look at this treasure. Having got what we came for, we left the study. Hey! Good. Leading the group as usual, Kid suddenly stopped. Can you take a second to... Can I? What's that? Can I not save because we're in a combat? Hey, another skeleton! I'm liking these skeletons. It's a really easy way to get her to like me. I appreciate having to fight skeletons. Blah, blah, blah. Tackle the skeleton. I love fighting these skeletons. This is my favorite fight in the game. It's really easy to do, and we get on everybody's good side. Slam it into the floor. I mean, I'm glad it just didn't bite me. And it died as quick as it came. Time to move on. Taking a few knocks, scraper 2 wouldn't stop me. Not bad, Sedge. Not bad at all. Didn't know you had it in you. With a mischievous glint in Kid's eyes, she rewarded me with a few words of praise. I'm going to take a second to save it. Okay. Eventually we arrive back at the intersection, so now we can go back to the terrace. Took the right branch to the terrace. I don't think we need to go into... Okay, so we don't need to go into the terrace. Keep going down the corridor. On the right-hand side is an ancient-looking door. We're going to keep going past it. Continue onward. I have a feeling we'll want to come here after we do the treasury. Because the treasury is entirely random from what I've heard. Okay, sturdy-looking door on our left. Okay, take the moment to save now that we're here. A little further on stood a stairway leading upwards. This door is clearly meant to be keeping something safe. If there ain't treasure in it, me name's not Kid, cold hard cash, yada yada. We went inside. This should do it. Kid slipped the key she found into the lock. I don't know why I did that last one like her. Lines of magical light flashed across the surface of the door and vanished as various magical barriers were dispelled. Yep. Up, down, left, right, blue, red, green, every color under the sun, and then all was quiet, and the darkness of the manor returned. Right, when... With a creak, the heavy door gently swung open. As soon as I saw what's inside, I gave a gasp. Kid stepped inside. Whoa. We've hit the mother lode. Fingers crossed that we get enough time to actually read our options before we die. Out of the darkness loomed a veritable mountain of gold, silver, priceless works of art, and exquisite trinkets. Kid looked as if she were on the verge of drooling at the sight of it all. But what thief wouldn't have been? After all, this was the kind of hoard that very few people would ever come across in their lifetime. The smallest fraction of this vast mound of riches would have seen even the most careless spendthrift set for life. Our goal is the frozen flame. Ignore the rest. Miguel spoke with an icy dedication to our mission. He had not even batted an eyelid at the sight that greeted us. Yeah, I know. She was disappointed, of course, but soon set about scanning the room for the object of our hunt. What? Wait, is that it? Look at the pedestal over there. I turned to see what Kit was pointing at. Treasure interdit. There it was, a small yet perfectly formed jewel that gave off a pale red light, a jewel that looked like a flickering fire suspended in time. The frozen flame. Silently, Miguel walked towards the pedestal. I called out, "Wait, we have to be careful." You're right. This is Lynx we're dealing with, after all. It may very well be trapped. We should stand on our guard. Right, but we need to be quick about this. But fine, have your way, grumbled Kid, looking away. Miguel examined the pedestal for a short while and then paused. We were wise to be cautious. Placing his left hand on the base of the pedestal, he muttered an incantation, drawing quick sigils in the air with his right hand. Some glyphs appeared on its smooth surface and for a moment blazed brightly. There, now we can proceed. Miguel calmly reached out and grabbed hold of the red jewel. Hey! Surgeon and friends, obtain the frozen flame. I don't know why they didn't just say, like, why is it Surge and Friends? Not, like, we or, I don't know. The Surge and Friends thing feels weird to me. But now I have a desire to watch She-Ra for some reason. Again. I think what I need is, like, my old Snuggie or something. Phew. We managed to get what we came for, without anything horrible happening to us. I breathed a sigh of relief and turned again to Miguel. He was staring silently at the jewel in his hands. Oh no. Miguel, we did it. Let's get out of... Before I could finish, the frozen flame crumpled to dust. The flame was a fake. Lynx must be keeping the real one somewhere safe. What? Suddenly a siren rang out. The room was flooded with light, and metal bars slammed down in front of the door. I'm gonna go ahead and save it here. Because we did all the right things. This is just gonna be a random gamble now. I turned with a gasp to see Kid frozen, an ornate crown in her hands, a wide look of awkward shock in her eyes and on her face. Kid and friends obtained a golden crown, too. You're kidding me, right? You had to go and you complete bonehead. I let rip a stream of choice insults in my head. That is. Metallic parrots in the four corners of the room suddenly came to life, flapping their wings and screeching, "Rock! Thieves! Thieves!" And we're in trouble. These things are going nowhere, said Miguel, inspecting the bars covering the door. Although, to look at him, you wouldn't have thought there was anything wrong. Which way? Which way? The parrots! To the vault! To the vault! We heard voices in the distance. The manor guards were coming. Kid dived into a pile of gold coins. Find somewhere to hide! In a panic, I looked around the room. There was a large chest sitting wide open next to the pillar. I rushed to empty it out and then plunged in head first and closed the lid. It would work. Captain, there's no sign of anyone, no sign. Strange. Peculiar. No one has ever escaped before. None has ever fled the mousetrap's clutches. None. I gently pushed the lid of the chest and peeked through the gate. There were 5 goblins wearing suits of armor, unlocking the gates and about to make their way inside. One of the goblins looked around the room, jerking his neck as he peered into the shadows. Captain, what if it was a mouse this time? Chief was grumbling about mouses the other day, Captain. A mouse? A rodent? A rat? Would a tiny thing... I would like to imagine that this is like a Christopher Walken goblin. Would a tiny thing like that really have sprung the trap? Replied a stocky, plump-looking goblin who must have been the captain. He didn't seem convinced. That was when I heard a strange but oddly familiar sound coming from across the room. Squeak! Squeak! It was coming from where Kid was hiding. Startled, the troop of goblins stopped and looked at each other. For a moment, none of them spoke. Eventually, the goblin captain rubbed his chin as though through his jowls and offered a thought. If we had just kept quiet, we'd have been fine. Mouses? I'm sure the chief was complaining about cats. Meow. Meow. That voice again. Again, silence. The goblins only looked at each other. Funny you should say that, Captain. I heard it. It wasn't mouses or cats, but it was Heckrons. An awkward silence followed. In my mind's eye, I could see Kid racking her brain to work out what a Heckron was. I remember what those things are. I smell a rat, by which I mean a thief. Followed by the captain's lead. The guards searched their weapons, and then heck ran. Listen, it really is a heck run by heck. That proves it. The guards grinned and nodded at each other. I was about to go, I heard him saying cows, Kid moos. Exactly. It was just like the progression of insanity. If I remember right, Heckrons just screeched. If I remember correctly, but, you know, way to go, Kid. Threw us all right under the bus. Cheeky little devil surprised me there. Let's get out of here, boys. The goblins filed out of the vault. I breathed a sigh of relief. And then they came charging back in with a mighty roar. There's no such thing as Heckrons! Which is funny, because there is in Chrono Trigger. What? You sneaky little buggers! Roared Kid, leaping out from behind a pile of gold coins. You're one to talk, thief. Brandishing their weapons menacingly, the goblins moved slowly forward, forcing Kid into a corner. I quietly eased open the lid of the coffer and slipped out. I can't leave you anywhere, can I? I muttered to myself. I knew Kid could handle herself, but I didn't fancy her odds against a whole troop of heavily armed guards. Especially because these ones I think are supposed to be like extra. For a moment I wasn't sure what to do, but then I made up my mind. I had to save Kid. Right, I had to save Kid. There was no way I was going to abandon a friend in need. Even if it meant facing against a group of 5 goblin guards, I'd have to find a way to come out on top, I hoped. I drew a knife from my belt and leapt into the middle of the room. Hey, snot for brains, over here! All the goblins turned to look at me at the same time. This would have been a good time for Kid to attack, by the way. 10 beady, cruel little eyes all staring daggers at me. Fool! In a hurry to die, are we? I gulped, and wondered if making a run for it might have been a better plan of action after all. Ah, humans are so stupid. The goblin captain chuckled and licked his teeth. Yep, this one's got a death wish, all right. Why else would he be so stupid as to come after Lord Lynx's treasure? That's a first. Being called dumb. Nope, hold on. Ha! That's a first. Being called dumb by a bloody goblin. Try acting tough when you crying to your mum later on. Judging by Kid's response, she wasn't feeling massively threatened. And tell her it was Kid who kicked her teeth in. So you're Kid, are you? The sneaky little slippery thief we've heard so much about. The goblin narrowed his eyes. Lord Lynx will be thanking me from now until my retirement when I bring your head on a silver platter. And now we're in a fight. The goblin started pulling his morning star from his waist and started swinging. You don't know who you're messing with. We ain't no ordinary goblins, sweetheart. We're Lord Lynx's elite guards. Goblins that gobble other goblins. That's right, the Gob Squad. Okay. I'll quit you shooting off and let me kick your teeth in. Something like that. And with that, Kid launched into a lightning-fast spinning kick. Her boot connected with the side of the goblin's head and with a crack, sending the creature tumbling to the ground. Get him, lads! Boy looks scrawny. Start with him. The goblin spun the heavy metal ball of his Morningstar in the air. Glorious goblin strike. Aye, aye. The goblins charged across the room, their response to their captain's command. Goblin strike incoming. Readied myself and parried the attack. I don't know what I'm going to do here. I just managed to push the enemy's attack aside and tried to strike back with the knife, only for the goblin to knock away my attack and flick my brawny arm, sending me crashing to the ground. Oh! The shock sent a flash of bright white light singing through my head. Kid lashed out with a lightning-fast kick. There's more where that came from. Please, have mercy. The stricken goblin had collapsed to the floor, its eyes wide with fear. This ain't a game, Sedge. Watch yourself, will ya? Another goblin flew down from overhead. Bombs away! With a growl, it sent its Morningstar swinging from above. I rolled away. I rolled across the floor, dodging the attack, but I wasn't fast enough, and the iron ball came crashing straight into me. I let out a howl as the force of the impact jutted through my body. I never felt such raw pain in my entire life. I rolled around on the floor in agony. Har, 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 dance for me, boy. Let me hear you sing. As I crawled on the floor, the shadow of the goblin towered over me like a black mountain. Die, brat. Its lips curled around its fangs, leering its grin. It raised its weapon over its head. Stab it in the foot. Oh, no, you don't. You'll have to get through me first. Oh. Nope, that was him. Miguel conjured up a black wind, which surged forth like a shearing tempest. How do humans know a spell like that? Who are you? Goblin was quickly silenced as the rushing wind tore through it. It collapsed to the floor with a final shriek. Miguel looked down at his victim, his expression unchanged. My head spinning, but I managed to take the opportunity to rise to my feet. Gob strike incoming. I dodged the attack. I swiftly dodged the attack. The Morningstar brushed past my cheek. I don't know how, but I managed to escape unscathed. I lost my balance, though, and fell clumsily to the floor. Another goblin hesitated for just a moment, only to be run through by a spear of pure light conjured by Miguel. The goblin let out a blood-curdling howl as electricity coursed through its body. It clutched awkwardly at its chest as it had been struck in the face and contorted with agony and horror. Miguel's cape fluttered. His piercing eyes stared coldly at his victim. None who defy me shall escape my wrath. Another goblin flew down from overhead. Bombs away. Sent its Morningstar swinging. Roll away. Rolled across the floor. Wasn't fast enough and hit me. I'm in agony. Dance for me, boy. Let me hear you sing. Blah, blah, blah. Towered over a mountain. Blah, blah. Raised its weapon over its head. Another black wind with the shearing tempest. How many of them is that dead now? Long live Lord Lynx, the glorious Gob Squad. With these final words, the goblin collapsed, and that was the last of them. We made it! Oh, thank God. Okay. I got beat up. Oh, piece of cake, said Kid, putting on a brave face on things as she wiped sweat from her brow with her arm. And then she stopped to look at me. Sedge, what were you thinking, you great dongo? Getting the goblins to come after you like that. You really didn't have to, you know? Kid gazed softly at me, her blue eyes like the glow of the cold moon. She seemed to be trembling slightly. She looked down at the ground, hiding her face. Thanks. I'll never forget what happened tonight. Even if we go our separate ways, even if we never meet again. Never. And then Miguel stepped in. Save the chatter for later. We can't waste any more time here. The frozen flame must be somewhere else in the manor. All right, mate. Thanks for stating the obvious. It's not my bloody fault that Lynx has to make things so bloody difficult for everyone. Kid spun on her heel and made a sulky about face for the door. Suddenly, her attention returned to the pile of defeated goblins. This bunch of drongos said that Lynx's elite god, right? Bet they got some nice loot on them. With that, she started unceremoniously rummaging through the fallen captain's pockets. She was like a hyena sniffing for scraps. Hello, hello, what's this? She found an odd piece of metal. It resembled an open hand. It was covered in runes. Reckon this might open some other magic door somewhere. We never know when it might come in handy. Either way, finders keepers. I wonder if that's what we have to put in the mouth. The plate vanished in a kid's pocket. Huh. Looks like there's nothing else worth taking, unless you count pocket lint and a bit of string. She rose to her feet and looked around the room. You know, it's a real shame to leave all the rest of this loot just sitting here unloved. Suppose we come back for it whenever? Kid turned to face us and flashed a grin. All right, lads. Let's get moving on. It ain't gonna be dark forever. That hand-shaped plate is our only clue for now, muttered Miguel, seemingly to himself. And with that, we left the vault in search of the real frozen flame. God bless. Okay, we survived. Before we do anything else, because I'm not doing that again. Okay, so we're severely damaged. We're gonna want to start. We're gonna want to stop over by the old lady in the clock tower for that heal. But let me look at the map. So we're gonna want to go to the left, aka continue onto the corridor, go up the stairs, go to the dungeon, get the magic words out of the dungeon that were scrawled on the floor there. And then we go back to the clock tower lady. From there, maybe we go to the piano room. I think. So yeah, from there we'll go to the piano room. If nothing changes with the piano room, we'll go back down the stairs. I want to try Riddell's room one more time, now that we have completed the treasury. And then I think we go to the atrium with the Pteranodons and the... Oof. With the Pteranodons and the head. Okay, so to the left and to the right. Path to the left leads to the terrace. And then... to the right leads to the terrace, left leads to the staircase. So we go to the staircase. Corridor ended at the foot of some stairs. With Kid in the lead, we headed upwards. It was dark and the stairwell was narrow. We watched our footing carefully as we climbed. The stone of the steps was worn smooth with age, and I lost count how many there were as we spiraled upward and onward. An awful sense of foreboding haunted me. I had no idea why, but it felt as though we were marching in the gallows again. We arrived at the top of the stairs, and we were greeted by an old, heavy door looming in the silence. Okay, so from the last time we tried this, we determined that it's best to beat down the door. So that's what we're going to do. All was deathly silent and still. Calmy air added to the sense of ominous apprehension. Something was very wrong here, I muttered without thinking. I hear cursed whispers from beyond this door. Miguel added, doing nothing to lift the mood. I'll grow up, will ya? Kid shot back, diversely. She was already examining the door. Well, it ain't locked. I don't hear anyone inside. Let's go risk it. All right, here it goes. Kid tried the handle. The door opened, and with a slow, heavy swing, revealed what lay beyond. We got script we gotta read. That's over by the door, I think. It was a small, cylindrical room that appeared to be inside one of the stone towers. It was completely deserted, and there were no windows. What's this supposed to be? Something about this place gives me the creeps. Still standing in the doorway, Kid seemed suddenly taken aback. There might be something in here. Let's take a closer look. A closer look at a bloody empty room? Huh, might as well, I guess. We did climb all them stairs. Kid stepped through the door, grumbling under her breath. I scanned the room and then noticed something on the floor. The flagstones were covered in dozens of narrow scratches, and in places there were thick black stains. Something in the stains spoke of a horror that no amount of scrubbing would ever wash away, a malice and a sadness beyond imagining. There's something written here. Crouching in front of the wall, Miguel was expecting some brownish markings that looked more like some of the stains. Someone... Oh, no, this is definitely a kid. Someone's carved letters into the wall and scrambled them using blood magic. Kid had gone over to take a look. It looks pretty old. Hard to read, too. Some of it's been worn away. Let's see. I cannot hold out much longer. My only hope now is to leave the Acadia Signet in this room. The Acadia Signet? Suddenly the door slammed shut. We jumped to our feet with a start. From above, we heard an unsettling creaking sound, and the walls and the floor began to tremble. What the hell's going on? Kid's eyes darted around the room as she desperately tried to figure out what was happening. The creaking sound from above continued, and the ceiling moved ominously closer. Up there. Yep, that's horrifying. And it started off making heck-ridden noises, too. Out the door, out the door, out the door. We've walked right into a bloody trap. Kid bit her lip. We gotta do something fast. We don't have time to sit here and think about this. Barged down the door. Yeah! Kid sprang at the door like an arrow, slamming it into her shoulder first. But it was far too heavy, and her light frame bounced right off it. Damn it. Miguel raced towards the door like the wind and smashed into it with a ferocious force. It made a creaking sound and shook from the impact, but stood firm. Desperately, I hurled myself at it, too. Yeah. The shock of the impact rushed through my body, but it was no good. Meanwhile, the rusty creaking from above continued, as did the ceiling's exonerable journey downwards. And to make matters worse, now countless blades were popping in and out. Serge, Miguel, it's going to take us, all three of us. Timing our blows, we all charge at the door at once. Once, twice, third time, and then the door was open. And we were collapsed into a heap on the corridor outside. What? Behind us, we heard the sound of the blade in the ceiling grinding into the stone floor of the towered room. The metallic scraping noise it was awful. We could only look on in silent horror as the fate we'd so narrowly evaded. The machinery continued for a short while before slowly coming to a stop. It seemed the ceiling trap had finally finished its grisly work. Bugger me, talk about a nasty surprise. It's some sort of execution chamber? Oh, nope. Well. Miguel continued, seemingly deep in thought. In any case, that writing mentioned Acadia. Yeah, what was that about? The Acadia Dragoons, the elite knightly order serving General Viper, whom once governed the territory of Galesburg to the west. Former knightly order, I should say. They were wiped out more than a decade ago by the lord of this very manor, no less. Uh-huh. Thanks for the history lesson there, Mag. Kid rose to her feet, patting off the dust. Too bad we're not here for fairy tale nights. Come on, we got lots more exploring left to do. Miguel shrugged silently, and we headed back down the stairs. Okay. With Kid in the lead, we headed downstairs. We headed downstairs and continued looking straight ahead, eventually coming across the sturdy-looking door on our right. That's the treasury. Continued forward to the terrace. Continued onward. Do I need to go in there? I don't think I need to go in here because I don't know how badly damaged I am. If I like come across another fight and by the end of it says that like I'm pretty weak, we're gonna come back here and we're gonna get healed up. Continued on. Okay, terrace came into view. Keep following down the corridor. Left-hand side of the terrace, arriving at the intersection with some stairs. Okay. So, a few things here before we continue. First, I want to save it.